From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
So he can lick every single boot Donald Trump owns to beg for his endorsement.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We will never allow foreign terrorist organizations to take advantage of our country.
The Zimmer News Team.
We'll compare key moments, see who is texting.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Executive David Crowley beat Francesca Hong by less than a percentage point. Establishment Democrats are certainly celebrating this win. They were afraid that a Hong victory would essentially hand the GOP the keys to the governor's mansion in November. Hong had faced scrutiny over previous social media posts and lacked the endorsements of prominent progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders and AOC. But the far left did get a boost in Minnesota, where progressive candidate Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan beat moderate Congresswoman Angie Craig to win the Democratic nomination for Senate.
Well, there you go. Maybe, just maybe, the DSA has run up against a little bit of a wall as the Francesca Hong lost by about 3,200 votes as of the last count I see.
Apparently, you can want to abolish ICE, you can want to abolish prisons, but hating on Thanksgiving is just a bridge too far for the DSA folks.
And that's Stephanie Bell, John Marsh along, and Drake Whitman. I'm Randy Tobler. Thanks for being with us on this day after some primaries in various states. Sean Duffy's son won the primary for the Republican nomination in a congressional district. That was interesting. If elected, he'll be the youngest congressman in the halls of Congress. So maybe the fact that it was so close is still of some concern. But hey, we'll take the win, won't we? At least I think the country needs the win. Now, the Republicans, on the other hand, are probably not too happy about this. They wanted Hong to win. She'd probably be an easier foe in that gubernatorial race in Wisconsin. That's the way the tides have been shifting in terms of the wishes of the would-be Republican candidates. They want Mike Rogers. Is glad that Al Sayed is a candidate. I'm not so sure that's a smart move. He's pretty slick. He's a lot slicker than Francesca Hong, in my humble opinion. But we'll see what Eric Burleson has to say about that. He'll be with us at 7:35 about the DSA insurgency, about affordability as the number 1, 2, and 3 topic of the of this midterm election cycle, and a little bit about his health care bill that he's been pushing and working on. That, of course, is part of that whole affordability equation. And then before that, next hour, we'll be talking with Sheriff John Wheeler from Cole County, Jefferson City area, about a problem that I don't think is peculiar to Jefferson City and to Cole County, John. It's everywhere. The number of boarders.
Lack of mental health beds, right?
Yeah, there's not enough mental health beds to take care of criminals that are, I guess suspects that have mental health problems that are jailed. Maybe they're convicts that have mental health problems. I don't know which. Maybe it's a little both. And they end up boarding in the jails, and that then takes up space that is probably needed for other people to be incarcerated. So we'll talk to him about that. I saw where people in Springfield are upset because the seams are bursting with capacity there. So jail space is in short supply, and we'll talk with Sheriff Wheeler about that at 7:05. And some budget shortfalls as well. They're talking about a tax there after the public safety tax passed in Columbia. I know that Sheriff Wheeler was talking about maybe a little tax that's necessary for, I think, facilities and maybe some personnel as well in Jefferson City. Taxes. That'll be on the ballot too, I'm sure, in midterms. In other news, on this hump day, boy, it feels good to be already in the middle of the week, doesn't it? Isn't that great? Bernie Sanders wants to have super PACs go away. I wonder what party leaders think of that on both sides. The establishment probably doesn't like that because those super PACs, as I understand it, are a way to funnel money into campaigns without the campaigns being the money. And it's a way to get big donors to pretty much have unrestricted bucks, right? And there's actually probably an argument to be made for that. Stephanie, you talked about the horseshoe where the far right and the far left often coalesce. A lot of the Bernie voters in 2016 and 2020, would be 2020, in 2016, were actually sort of the same. They were waffling between Trump and Bernie because they don't like the establishment. They're anti-establishment.
Yeah, and you hear the same on the right and the left, like big dollars, dark money, whatever. But again, independent expenditures are constitutionally protected, and Citizens United established that. And so regardless of what Bernie Sanders says, I don't think it's PAC money is going away anytime soon.
Yeah, he wants it to go away. Congress could change that, right? Couldn't they? I don't know. I thought they could. Here's what he had to say back in May when he introduced the Abolish Super PAC law.
In this country, or we can have great wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, but we cannot have both, end quote. What Brandeis said back then was correct. It is even more accurate today. For the sake of our democracy, for the sake of an economy that works for working people and not just the very rich, we must ban super PACs and get big money out of politics.
How do you feel out there? 573-874-9390, 800-529-5572. Do you agree that money and big money, which, certainly does control a lot of the messaging, right? I mean, we just saw that in the election, in the process on Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 that just happened last week. Big
Soros, maybe?
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's unrestricted and, the little guys. Now, again, you can talk about whether you agree with the diagnosis that big money and big corporations with their big money and big money for wherever it comes from really has, you could on that predicate, let's just say there's some truth to that. And Americans would rather have not as much big money. Well, there's two solutions to that. One, the DSA solution is don't just have publicly funded campaigns. What a disaster. How'd you like it if your money went to fund Kamala Harris or El Sayed or Gavin Newsom?
And you hear this over and over and over. And we hear this with it reminds me a little bit of the data center debate, right? You say, oh my gosh, they use a lot of water. And when you talk in nominal numbers, it sounds like a lot. And then you start comparing how much water data centers use compared to agriculture or car washes or whatever else, right? Washing machines. And once you start doing the comparison, you're like, okay, it sounds like a lot, but in comparison to how much water we use for everything else, it's not that much. And here, when we're talking about, you always hear too much money in politics, too much money in politics. In the the last presidential election, in 2 years, Americans spent $10.7 billion in the election, I believe is the end of the presidential cycle, right? That's 10% less in 2 years than Americans spend annually on Halloween.
Well, that's I don't know though. That may be a straw man argument because if you're talking about money spent on campaigns, there's an awful lot of money that comes from very wealthy people protecting their interests. And if anyone wants to debate that, 573-874-9390. And I think people look at that and they say, look, I can make a $10 donation, but what the heck does it matter? I mean, the biggest thing you can do is learn actually the facts, ignore what you see on the TV, do some reading and research and real research and find out what candidates' stances are. Go visit them, ask them questions.
Well, and again, let's talk about what the money is being spent on. You know what it's being spent on? Look at a campaign's budget. The great part about this is every dollar that is spent is reported publicly at the FEC, is reported publicly here at the Missouri Ethics Commission. So you can go see who's giving. Sometimes, you get a name of an organization and then people want to know, well, who gave to that organization? Yeah. Then you get to see what it's spent on. It's spent on campaign staff and advertising. The big buys in Missouri are for TV, radio. I mean, that's producing these ads. And what does that allow the candidate to do? To introduce themselves to the public and let you know something about them. Now, there are some bad ads, there are negative ads. You can argue about that, but allowing the candidates to have some money so that way people know who's running, I think is important.
What if we just had an individual? I mean, what if we just had an individual a restriction so that Elon Musk couldn't donate $300 billion, and neither could George Soros? Just have some kind of upper limit on individuals in terms of how their contributions can go. and have that, whatever they donate through a PAC would have to be counted on that too.
So the government's going to control how much money we can spend?
Well, the government does control how much.
They do.
I mean, they do. So they do. We've recognized that as a reality. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah.
Here's Levi. Levi, what do you say about this issue?
About what issue exactly?
Well, what were you calling about? We're talking about money in politics. Go ahead.
Right, yeah, money in politics. Well, I think there's another issue of term limits. So when it comes to Congress and the Senate, I wonder if it would be easier if we had multiple lines, like, second string, you vote, election comes around, you have a second string, third string. That way, in case you need to vote somebody out, you can get it done sooner.
Oh, ranked choice voting?
No.
Or whoever came in second, you'd have to impeach them.
Like if you vote for one candidate, you get 2 or 3 candidates behind them at the same time.
Okay. Well, I don't know how that would work, though, practically speaking. Thanks for the call.
I think the other question is, do people really care? I mean, when you went and checked the box next to John Smith on your ballot box, had you done your investigation? Who donated to him? Did he get money from big corporations, or did he take all individual contributions?
I didn't need to, because I spent time knowing about what he actually believes and has done in his record, right? I do my research, but a lot of people don't.
I think the ultimate check then, and you see this, people say, I mean, that comes up in the campaign, oh, this person took $1 million from this, or this person took $1 million from this. So I think the ultimate check on how much money and who is giving that money to candidates or whoever else is the voters. If the voters are paying attention and they care about it, then, and you've seen it affect some races, they'll say they got this much money from these bad people.
Not about.
I think the average voter doesn't pay attention and doesn't care.
Not our audience. Our audience, of course, the Wake Up family does pay attention. They do care. They do their homework. But I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people are struggling to put food on the table, a roof over their heads, working a couple jobs, taking care of their family. And when they're given misinformation or skewed information or part of the truth on some crazy ad, they, unfortunately, many of them, that's the only information they have. You're right.
And Missouri does have election limits on the, on the statewide office holder races. What are they?
They're like
$2,000 to $3,000 per individual, right?
Per individual, but that's the whole issue. Bernie wants to do away with the big corporate money that comes in.
It's called the First Amendment in political speech.
I understand that that's the argument about, because it's law, should it be the law? That's the question. DC Rundown coming up.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Oh my gosh.
One? That's for episode 2.
Oh my gosh. Let me see. Let's see. Just about some of the stuff he stresses on, I think I'm a little
like
more...
War and Peace, for example.
No, but I'm talking about a personal level. I'm not talking about when it comes to...
Time for the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie.
A really cute and heartfelt interview yesterday with Marco Rubio and his wife. I think as Republicans prepare to decide who leads our party and who will be the candidate in 2028, we're hearing a lot of rumblings about AOC. Yesterday, Adam Schiff said that she communicates in a way millions of younger Americans understand and handles Republican attacks effectively. Nancy Pelosi also said AOC was operational and a joy to work with. So all of this Democrat support coming out seems to be them signaling that, because she's kind of said, I'm not going to rule it out, but seems to be kind of some encouragement. And I think that's good for us. I think she'd be a disaster. What do you think?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, all of these guys' wives are powerhouses in their own right, and they're always an asset, especially on the conservative side of the fence. No doubt about it.
And of course, yesterday was a big primary day. Democrat socialist Francesca Hong went down. She was so David Crowley won, but just by 3,200 votes from nearly 800,000 votes cast. I think it's interesting because we thought we were going to have this big DSA wave. I think they thought the same thing. But again, here in Missouri, we had Cori Bush go down. We've had no uniform progressive wave. Democrat voters appear to be moving to the left. But there appears to be some sort of line as well, Randy.
Yeah, but you've got the more charismatic candidate in Michigan that won. And the fact that it's so close is still a dangerous message, I think, for everyone running for office. Yeah.
We also saw yesterday Senator Darlene Graham and Ralph Norman advance to an August 25th Republican runoff. Gosh, that seems late, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For Lindsey Graham's former seat. Apparently, Nikki Haley is promising to do whatever it takes to elect Norman, pitting Nikki Haley against Trump because, of course, Trump has endorsed Darlene Graham. So that will be fiery. And again, I think that election's coming up in late August 25th. At the same time, I didn't catch this piece of the Max Miller drama, but of course he is under a lot of fire for domestic and child abuse allegations by his former wife. But apparently he had donated to lots of other candidates, more than a dozen Republican midterm campaigns. And now they're just having to decide. He's saying he's not leaving, but those candidates are having to decide, do I give the money back? Do I keep the money? And they're kind of split on that. And some aren't really saying. So he's now causing other people some problems. And we are seeing new polling out of Kansas just next door to us that Kansas could be in play for the Democrats. Not a good sign. An internal Democrat poll. So take this for what it's worth. Polling and a Democrat poll places Republican Senator Roger Marshall only 1 point ahead of Democrat Adam Hamilton. And this is a state that Trump carried by approximately 16 points in 2024.
My goodness.
The more states that the Democrats can put in play means that we have to spread our Republican money out where maybe we thought we weren't going to. And it could spell trouble, additional trouble in the midterms. So not great. And on the international stage, we've got Netanyahu rejecting Trump's 15-point Gaza plan. The Board of Peace says the plan is fully operational, and they're not watching so much what Netanyahu's saying, but watching what the military is doing. And of course, we're going to get the July, the inflation report out today. June prices fell, but everyone's watching closely after that bad jobs report last week, Randy.
Boy, some positive news heading into the midterms now, just a couple months away, would be a super, super good thing. Missouri Supreme Court wanting to put the afterburners on when it comes to congressional redistricting.
Has America been
It's 800-529-5572. So the Supreme Court, Stephanie, is going to have to move swiftly. They have less than a month, I understand, to make a decision on Denny Hoskins' decision not to have a referendum on the ballot in November about the congressional redistricting. Do I have that right?
Yeah, this has been the law for a long time. So there's a deadline by which the court can no longer add anything to the ballot. That's in statute. And then there's also a statute related to these types of measures that just said the suits shall be advanced and decided by the court as quickly as possible. So election litigation, this has always been in statute. It says we got to move it quickly because we have these deadlines that we don't necessarily have with respect to other types of litigation. So if you've ever watched these or been involved in them, they always move pretty swiftly.
So procedurally, I understand, according to the story in the Missouri Independent, that Justice Powell, the boss there at the Supreme Court, right? He's the boss. He wrote a letter to the Judge Green, who is going to be the judge over the first level of litigation. Is that right? Judge Green?
Correct.
Is he at the appeals court? No, he's the trial court. So he will make a decision. Justice Powell wrote, well, Judge Powell, is he Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? Yeah, of the Missouri Court. Accordingly, the matter must be handled expeditiously. Well, he says, this issue must be heard and decided as quickly as possible. Accordingly, the matter must be handled expeditiously to ensure sufficient time for expedited appellate review. So he knows that Judge Green will make a decision. Then it goes to the appeals court, right? That's almost a guarantee no matter which side wins.
And oftentimes these end up at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Sometimes initiative petition litigation ends up at the Western District. But yes, it will have to get decided by the appeals court, and there are deadlines. And he's quoting from the statute, which says, all such suits shall be advanced on the court docket and heard and decided by the court as quickly as possible, which is a statute that was adopted in 1980.
A big sticking point is changing the wording on the ballot, right?
On this?
No.
Well, no, for initiative petitions for the ballot title litigation, sometimes the ballot title language will change. This particular article, I believe, is referencing the case over the maps.
I thought the statute was like early September things had to be settled because after that you couldn't go in and rewrite ballot.
Right, they can't. They have to have the ballots printed by then, I think, or written. That's what the thing says. There's something about a September
early
date.
September sometime, yeah.
September 8th. Trial court must ask cookie. State law doesn't allow the courts to add anything to the ballot after September 8th. I don't know what.
And at some point, you have to just think about election administration. At some point, you have to send out the military ballots. You have to print the ballots. And so this deadline is in there to make sure that we have efficient administration of elections. And again, every election cycle, there is expedited election litigation.
So why does this?
Oftentimes, John, when you're talking about an initiative petition, like for example, marijuana, or when you get into whether in past cycles when we got into whether there are sufficient signatures or not, the question in that type of litigation is, does it go on the ballot or does it not, right? And so it's either printed on the ballot or it's kept off. Yeah. And so the moment that those ballots have to be printed.
So why does this matter? If we use the Missouri 1st District, then you folks in rural listening area will have a better chance of having Rick Bratton win. And those folks of you who live in rural areas in that, but now would be in the old district, if for some reason the new district was overturned, or the referendum was allowed to happen and ultimately the district was overturned or the redistricting was overturned, then Manuel Cleaver would have the edge, right? That's what it matters.
Yeah,
you'd have the edge.
What we heard, I'm not commenting on that, but what I'm saying is I understand last Tuesday, Secretary Hoskins said that the referendum was unconstitutional, and they immediately went to court. So that is what is in this lawsuit. He also said that the other one, Respect Mo Voters, that is another initiative petition dealing with initiative petition reform, that measure was or that initiative petition was also unconstitutional, and I believe they have sued as well. And
so if they change, and if this all fails, then what happens to the results of the primary, I think, is a big question out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, do the judges have to come back and throw out the results of the primary?
It sounds like a colossal mess. If for some reason the Supreme Court, if they ultimately get it, would somehow say you got to go back to I don't know what would happen. This is so confusing. But I think as a voter, you don't sort of wonder, man, it's confusing to you. And I still, as a voter, and I like Denny Hoskins, don't get me wrong, but if he thought this was unconstitutional, why didn't he say it at the beginning? I mean, it doesn't take you till August 4th to decide it's unconstitutional, right? I'm just saying, as a normal dweeb out here, I'm just a Luddite. I'm not a political power guy. I'm just saying.
I think if you listen to his press conference about his decision, that is his statutory deadline. So if you, I think what his comment, and I don't want to quote him, but I think his comment was, that's my deadline. That's the deadline set in statute. If you don't like that deadline, the legislature is free to choose it. You can address them. That's what Hoskins had said. And I think if we look back historically on the decisions on initiatives and referendum, I think if you look back historically, I don't recall, oftentimes the decision is made on that deadline date because, of course, you have the county local elected official or local election authorities doing their job, and I think it's often the last day or the day before.
But that was a moot point. It wasn't about certifying the signatures. It was about ideologically if you think it was constitutional. And I respect that judgment, but I also think that voters, including voters who would support Denny and every Republican and all conservative candidates would say, come on, that's sort of, tell us what you think. And we really would rather know what you're thinking back in February, March, April, May. If you think it's unconstitutional, let's have the battle. Let's just have the battle and get it done. I don't know. It's just a matter, it seems like gamesmanship. And voters, I think, are increasingly tired of gamesmanship, whether it's from their party or not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I personally am tired of it. I just want people to be honest and open and transparent about what they're thinking. Gamesmanship, that's good for Stratego. That's good for Ma Yong. I don't know. What do you think? 573-874-9390. Now, speaking of gamesmanship, did you see where in this Luigi Mangione thing, this is going to be the trial of the decade or the century or the millennium. This is going to be really something. And it's going to be televised? No? I mean, we have reporters in the room? Did you see that? And people have documented threats, harassment, and exposure of personal information. They were protested out the case, outside the courtroom. So the judge in the trial says they're not going to release the names of the jurors. I didn't know that names of jurors were released. Did you? In criminal cases?
Depends on the jurisdiction, I think.
I think that's right.
Yeah. And they're going to have an overflow room. And this is going to really fire up a lot of people. There's no doubt about it. He spanked the prosecution, though. The defense. The defense was saying that they were alleging that the prosecutors were somehow involved in influencing some decisions that were made. And he said, I don't want to hear about it. They basically said, he said, just be quiet. We're not going to go there. So I thought it was very interesting. The defense usually said that they wanted to have some procedural thing done. And in the end, he said, here's his exact quote, that is not going to happen. Basically told the defense to be quiet. It was interesting. Do judges, how frequently do judges sort of, imply, like, just sit down and shut up? Does that happen often?
I think if both sides are making legitimate arguments, you don't hear that. I think if the judge has already told you, like, hey, we're not going to go there, and you keep bringing it up, then I think sometimes you might get reminded politely by the judge, hey, I've already told you we're not going down that road. You can't bring that evidence in. And certainly, if the judge has excluded something, testimony or evidence or otherwise, and then you try to end around, they're going to enforce the rulings that they've already made. And so, but I think typically it's done. They don't tell you to sit down and shut up. No,
boy, oh
they do
boy.
it
And,
politely.
not to solo in just on the Cole County circuit from back in the day, but legendary Judge Byron Kinder. I was in his courtroom plenty of times when he told people literally to sit down and shut up.
Really?
Oh, most definitely.
I think that's good.
The rule rather than the exception of Judge Kinder.
Well, I just thought it was really interesting that they were very let's just say defiant in something that they wanted to have happen. And he's like, that's not going to happen.
The pressure on this case is enormous. And the money that Mangione has raised from just random people and the intensity behind this case, it's extreme. And so I think all sides are worried about outside influences, about threats, about harassment. And I think that concern is very real given what we've seen just leading up to the trial.
The other thing he said, the defense had said that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office was involved in picking which journalists could attend. There's going to be like 80 journalist organizations. And he told the sides, I don't want to hear any more about this. I like this judge. I like the way this is like, hey, just do your job. That's not going to happen. I don't want to hear any more about this. Let's get to it. I think in another quote he said, I've been around, this isn't my first rodeo in this arena or something like that. Good for him. He's making it clear that the referee is going to be in charge of this game.
Yeah,
early on.
Again, you want an efficient use of your courthouse resources and you want decorum in the courtroom.
Yep.
And I think everyone involved has to know that there are rules and that, ultimately you're trying to get to justice and truth. And we don't need a bunch of funny business. We need to follow the rules. And we're going to proceed expeditiously.
This is going to be something. Media attention around this is going to be hot and heavy. Make Missouri healthy again when we come back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
in a study finding that alcohol use among pregnant women in the United States rose between 2011 and 2024. Heavy drinking was up 166%. Pregnant women who smoked tobacco or reported frequent mental distress showed notably higher rates of alcohol use. Not a surprise. It's a self-medication. I think we can all agree that we all probably have our ways of self-medicating one way or another. Some exercise. I wish we all did that a little more often, don't you? Some drink, some hit the cannabis, some smoke, some eat too much, whatever, right? We all have our ways of self-medicating. This is a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association. This is crazy. Man, I didn't realize it was up that much. I knew it was up. I just felt that through people I'd seen in the office. And, of course, it's been established that really there's no safe level of alcohol use. I think if it's your anniversary and you're 8 months pregnant and you have a glass of champagne, is that going to bother anything? I think most obstetricians would tell you no. Most doctors would say no, not going to bother anything. But heavy drinking, why do you think that is, Stephanie? 2011 to 2024, what did that span? That was after the recession. It did span COVID.
Post-COVID. Yeah, I think that's probably the trick.
Has
but
to be.
I mean, we talked several months ago about, I think, a mental health professional saying that he actually thinks this swing of Gen Z toward not drinking is actually more unhealthy than casually drinking like 2 drinks a week because it's isolating and young people aren't getting out and meeting people, and alcohol can oftentimes be kind of like a social thing. And he said the downside of 2 drinks at a happy hour is worth the increase of your mental health and not being depressed or feeling isolated. Yeah. So he kind of made an opposite argument. And this is heavy drinking versus, I think,
what's
social
interesting
drinking.
is alcohol use during pregnancy this is fascinating.
Are people drinking during pregnancy?
Yeah, that's the point. More common among women, alcohol use during pregnancy was more common among women who were older, more educated, unmarried, and employed compared with their respective counterparts. Pregnant women who smoked tobacco reported current alcohol use at more than double the rates. Those often go together. I
think in my first pregnancy, I was really careful, like no alcohol, no deli meat, no sushi. And then as it evolved, I think I heard different things from my doctor, like, well, one Jimmy John sandwich isn't going to kill you. Yeah. If you want a California roll, it's not really raw. You can eat it. Yeah. That there's a risk no matter what you do. And so I've known pregnant women to have a glass of wine. And I think, I don't know is the rule now none? Because I think
There was also talk about fetal alcohol syndrome for years and years and years with a zero tolerance thing, right, doctor?
What we know is that there is no safe level that's been established. We also know there is a dose response curve on that.
Also, now you told me I can't have Tylenol, so maybe I'm going to swing back a glass of wine.
No,
right?
I just said that you can have reactions. Tylenol and drinking in the wrong combination.
No, but didn't RFK say that you shouldn't have Tylenol during pregnancy?
For during pregnancy. Yeah, but they reversed that. That's been bad. So I think what it. And here's the point. It is clearly related to self-medication. So if you feel, whether you're pregnant or whether you're not, whether you're a woman or whether you're a guy, if you find yourself going to non-prescriptive, curated means of dealing with whatever mental distress you're having a problem coping with, take a look at your bank account, take a look at the stress paying your bills. We all have it. And we have, sometimes ill parents. We have kids who were taken care of. There's a lot of stuff going on. Please talk to someone about it before you head to the liquor cabinet. Please. Whether you're pregnant or not. Because there are probably more effective ways to deal with that. Really. Truly. There are. That's Make Missouri Healthy again. Back with Sheriff John Wheeler. Speaking of mental health and our jails, when we come back.
My Secret Service and the military, they wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
What is the nature of the threat?
I guess there was a threat out there. I didn't really ask too much about it. I get a lot of threats.
Well, there was Donald Trump on the tarmac after the press was a little hurt that they weren't kept in the loop, that he went in a catering little cargo van.
Not kept in the loop, but on the decoy plane unknowingly.
Unbelievable. They were on the real Air Force One. After he entered Air Force One, then he snuck out into where they keep the trays with the funky food, I
Taylor
guess.
Swift style.
And then...
Why did they share any of this information with any of us?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think because the press was sniffing around.
Yeah.
Remember, after that flight, they were all complaining
it
that they had to shut their windows, and I think there were a lot of people,
Yeah.
maybe it was going to get out anyway, and they wanted to get ahead of it.
Yep.
Probably right.
Yep. So we'll have to see where this goes. I mean, I think that these kind of things probably have happened a lot. We haven't always heard about them, and sometimes we have. But at any rate, that's the story on that. Now, we switch gears and we talk to Sheriff John Wheeler, and it sounds like there's no room in his inn, for some reasons that are very, very unfortunate. Sheriff Wheeler, welcome into Wake Up Missouri.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, we talk about lack of mental health resources in the country in general, and certainly in the public safety space and in the law and order space. A lot of criminality centers is comorbid with, mental illness, right? And so tell us what your challenges are, and I think it's probably shared by many of your colleagues around the state as well. I imagine it's not just in Cole County.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm actually up at the lake at a conference for sheriffs, and this is one of the topics that always comes up. It's an ongoing issue that we have with Department of Mental Health. Currently, I have 14 people in my custody that have been deemed that can't stand trial. 2 of them have been permanently done so, and they've been ordered to go to a mental facility, but there's no beds. I think there's 506 a waiting list of 506 people right now to go to some type of mental facility. So the problem with that is I'm not designed for mental health. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the staffing for it. So what happens is we try to make do with these individuals, but sometimes they go to decompensate real bad because they're not supposed to be in my facility. So we have to spend a lot of time. Staff has to spend a lot of time with them. It's really unfortunate for these individuals.
Can you talk to us, John, about the challenges that you have with inmates that you're required to have who take up bed space? I'm thinking about Greene County Jail, where they're at like 1,200 inmates, and a whole bunch of them are federal prisoners for the federal court system, and then your ICE detainees. How does that work into your number crunching?
So we don't hold ICE. We do have some people that have ICE detainers on them that whenever they're arrested, ICE will send down a detainer, but we're not per se an ICE holder. And the problem where it comes down to is when we're holding these individuals, it takes away from space that we should be holding for. So right now I'm housing 25 people out, and that's costing the citizens of Cole County about $1,200 a day. So last year I spent $452,000 for that. This year, if you look at from January to present, we're looking at $500,000 this year, and it's an ongoing issue that we've been having. If these 14 individuals were in a Department of Mental Health facility, then that would cut what I have right now would cut out. It would cut out that amount of money.
And I understand it's a statewide issue, and I think, isn't there a new facility coming to Kansas City? But there's not that many beds, and it takes time to get these facilities online, right?
Yes, and that's correct. There is. And I know that they keep talking about the facility. I've heard about it for the last 2 years. But the unfortunate part is if they're behind 506 people, and this is only going to get worse. Mental health is a huge issue with the state of Missouri nationwide, and we're all dealing with it. But until the state wants to invest some more money and do what they need to do, I think, and that is they need to invest at the local level. Now, DMH, the Department of Mental Health, has a budget of $4.4 billion. But I can tell you that $4.4 billion is not coming down to the area where it needs to be.
That's Sheriff John Wheeler talking about the collision between the need for mental health services among incarcerated individuals and the lack of it. A real disconnect on Wake Up, Missouri.
Sheriff, back when you opened the new Cole County Jail, I know you pointed out to us in the media that you had basically a shell space, an entire floor that wasn't, it was basically vacant and sits vacant now. How much, if you were able to develop that floor, would it help to solve your problems?
Well, the construction costs are the problem. So to build my entire facility, it was $32 million. And now, because of construction costs, just to build out that interstitial layer and drop in another 160 beds, it's going to be about $38 million. I don't have it. The county doesn't have it. So we're talking right now. We're going to have to go to the public for a sales tax. I just don't know what that's going to be.
Sheriff Wheeler, let me ask you this. Is it possible, or maybe it's already happening, it's okay, so we don't have enough mental health beds. Is it possible to somehow expedite or accelerate the mental health evaluation or care of these people in as part of a solution until a more permanent one is in jail, to make decisions to help them maybe be in some kind of a halfway, some other arrangement to somehow move things along, I guess, from their mental health treatment and evaluation perspective?
Sure. And what they do is they do send counselors there to speak with these individuals, but a lot of times they don't want to talk to anybody. They will prescribe medications for them, but they don't want to take the medications. Just this last year, I think I'm paying currently this year inmate medical, I'm paying right at $444,000.
Wow.
30,000 of that, I think, or 40,000 of that was for me to pay for mental health counselors to come in and speak with inmates if they were having a hard time. And now I have those individuals coming in, as well as having DMH bringing people in. And on top of that, I have 5 courts, 5 circuits that I'm serving. So it gets real busy inside my jail, and it takes away from what we're supposed to be doing. It's really it's an issue that we have with security for the facility on bringing that many people in and trying to placate. And that's a bad word probably, but trying to placate with some of these inmates to calm them down, because they are, like I said, they're spiraling.
Wow.
Some of them are spiraling.
Okay.
So you're down at the lake hanging out with all the other sheriffs. Besides this issue, what are the other hot topics the sheriffs are talking about?
Well, I think mental health is a big one, and we don't know the answer to it. I know that there was talk up at the Capitol about making DMH pay for their prisoners, and this is, and it's a fine line that you walk there, because we can make them pay. But my worry is, if they're going to pay us, and then in their minds, then they've got a bed for them, and they're not going to work to get these individuals out of my facility. So I would rather them take them out of my facility than for them to pay me. But to put this in perspective, like right now, I'm housing 25 out because I don't have enough space in my facility. So I have to go out and find the beds, and that's not an easy task, because across Missouri, the beds are there's no jail space. So that's a task all by itself. I think it's Children's Division. If they have children that they got to pick up and they don't have beds for them, they bring them back to their office, right? They take care of of the individuals they have. With DMH, they just simply say, "Oh, well, sorry about that." And so I think that's some of the stuff that needs to be. I don't think it's enough to say, "Well, we're going to pay you for your space." I don't think that's fair to all of us, and it's certainly not fair to the citizens of Cole County, because my budget is how much money I'm spending.
One of the problems that I know people running rural hospitals have, I did that, is that when we would sometimes try to send folks with serious mental challenges that were not appropriately cared for in a community hospital setting, sort of a parallel challenge that you face, Sheriff. we would send people down to the state hospital, state facility, and if the patient had any kind of even a relatively minor medical condition, we were told that they didn't really feel capable of that, and so then the patient was sent back and they denied entrance. Have you ever had any problems with that? Where they have a mental problem, but they also have mental health problems. They also have out of control diabetes or hypertension or something like that, and difficult to place them there for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And we end up, we spend a lot of time in hospitals. We have transport prisoners to different hospitals and then sit with them until they get the testing done or procedures done or whatever.
Yeah.
The other unfortunate part of all this is it would be different if we could get some of these individuals that have Medicaid to be able to pay for some of those services. But Medicaid, they're not allowed to use Medicaid when they're in custody. They actually suspend their Medicaid while they're in here.
Yes.
So, and that's problematic because whenever we take these individuals up to the hospital, the hospital's just out that money, and that's an unfortunate thing. So, I think this is a bigger issue than. Mental health is a lot bigger issue than Sheriff Wheeler in the Cole County Jail.
It is. It's a huge issue.
But I think it needs more attention. I think it's maybe it's not sexy enough. I don't know, but we have to get more attention towards mental health. We have to, and not only for the people in custody, but the individuals that we're dealing out on the street.
Sounds like a call for more forensic psychiatric facilities. That's what we need, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's see if any of our legislators listening or those of you who know legislators want to put that on the hot burner for this upcoming session. Sounds like an extremely important topic. Thanks for shedding some light on it, Sheriff John Wheeler. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Take care. When we come back, Stephanie, how much would you pay for a dressed up hot dog? We'll ask that question when we come back.
It's Wake Up
The hot dog and a drink for what, $1.50? Yeah, pretty good deal. But I don't think that's enough. Stephanie, you found this story where people are wanting to, they're spending exorbitant amounts for hot dogs, including the caviar, the caviar dog.
I get called bougie a lot,
Wow.
and people know I like sometimes I like to feel a little fancy, but $100 hot dog is even too steep for me. I still want to get a good bang for my buck, right? Like I'll pay $100 for a really great steak, but a hot dog? I'm telling you, a little while ago, I got totally ripped off. I went to, I'm not going to name the restaurant. It was out of town. I was in Nashville, and we said, we were at a really nice steak place. We're going to pay $100 for the steak. But they're like, oh, do you want an appetizer? I said, oh, we're celebrating. Like, this will be fun. And they come up with the menu. And what's on the menu? Pigs in a blanket. And I said, I asked the waitress, what's your most popular appetizer? She said, those pigs in a blanket are really good. I am expecting some sort of, fancy presentation, some sort of like homemade bread. I don't know, like some sort of fancy dipping sauces. And I'm telling you, it was $26 and it came out and it looked like the ones you make at home that cost 4 cents to make each one. And I thought, I have been duped. And I'm thinking, I'm in Nashville. All these folks probably come from New York City. They come here. They've never heard of pigs in a blanket. And they're going to pay $26 for like a Midwestern experience. But I'm too smart for that. But I fell for it. So just don't fall for those
There's
things.
the hot dog tower at one restaurant in Aspen from Breckenridge. Sorry. 11, oh my gosh, about $16. A 2-foot long dog, $45 at Coors Field, 19-inch bun, 2-foot long hot dog and a 19-inch bun, $45.
See, I would get that and then just split it amongst my 3 kids. That seems like a relatively, like at a ballpark, that seems relatively okay. But $100 for a single hot dog, I think I'm done.
Well, Mr. Drake would like to take and probably load that hot dog up with cheese, right, Drake? Regardless of the cholesterol hit that you would take. You don't care.
Is cheese bad for your cholesterol?
Well, yeah. Saturated fats are. Yeah.
At the same time, you have to be careful because, they started, the brats with the cheese inside got really popular.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bite into one of those right off of the grill, you're in some trouble.
I've ruined more.
Doesn't Busch Stadium do the $25 thing for the unlimited dogs and nachos and all that? So, if you're wanting to go upscale, there you go.
Yeah, they have the unlimited snack, concession buffet. It's awesome.
Are you a cheese lover, Drake?
I am the biggest cheese lover you'll ever meet.
Well, and you don't
I don't know. I'm up there.
You don't have to worry about
Stephanie.
You don't have to worry about your weight. I do. And many do that are listening. We all fight it. But they did this study. Drake, this is good. This is encouraging. They divided into 3 groups: low dairy, calorie restricted, energy neutral with 3 daily servings of dairy, or unrestricted with 3 daily servings. And after 3 months, the researchers didn't see any meaningful differences in weight gain, body comp, cholesterol levels. There you go.
So cheese is good for you.
Cheese is good for you.
It may not be good for your arteries in the long run.
It's satiating. It's delightful
That's
to
true.
eat, and it's filling.
Protein and fat.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. Let's see if Congressman Eric Burleson likes hot dogs and cheese when we come back, and more. Congressman Eric Burleson. And I guess first off the bat, thank you for being with us. I know it's a busy time here back in the district and little recess, but time to really press the flesh, get to the vibe of what folks are thinking and talking. How much are people talking, Congressman Burleson, about the DSA and about their infusion into the Democrat Party and the general, especially among young voters, man, what's this socialist wave that seems to be taking over parts of the country?
It is really absurd. I live in Southwest Missouri, and people generally have come to the conclusion that the left and Democrats have lost their minds. I can remember a time where we had Democrats that were pro-life, that were pro-Second Amendment. In fact, I remember, I think his name is Wayne Crump, was member of the Missouri House, a Democrat, back in 1999. He was pushing against Steve Gaw and other leaders to pass the concealed carry permits. But times have completely changed. Now, not only are they all completely against life, you've got people the governor of Massachusetts celebrating signing a bill and having a group of women applaud her that allows a woman to abort a baby up until the point in which it's born. That's crazy. That's real world impact that they're having. Then you've got these democratic socialists who are, they're saying some things that are just completely nuts. Things like, let's eliminate the Senate altogether, right? We want to completely have no police system, no borders. And these are issues that, thank God, most of the American people don't agree with, but it is dangerous that they're even floating some of these ideas.
Are you buoyed by the fact that Francesca Hong lost, although it was by the hair of the chinny chin chin? It was 3,200 votes.
Yeah, it is concerning. I think people are not paying attention to, or maybe they're just not. They're not taking seriously the radical ideas that these individuals are espousing, right? So, I think that's probably more so than anything. They're looking past some of these radical ideas and seeing these people as cute. Well, it's not cute when it becomes reality. Just ask the people that are fleeing all of these socialist countries if the world they lived in was cute. So at the end of the day, when it becomes reality and it's impacting your life, I think people will have a completely different attitude.
That's Congressman Eric Burleson joining us on Wake Up Missouri.
Congressman, what are you hearing from your Southwest Missouri constituents regarding the war in Iraq? One, as it affects their pocketbooks, and two, as it might affect the midterms.
I didn't know we were going to war in Iraq.
I'm sorry, Iran.
Yeah, to your point, it's a good point that we did go to war in Iraq, and it hit our pocketbooks. And I think that we have fatigue as a nation. I think that we've spent so much money on these forever wars that didn't get us anything. And I think that, if there was a situation where we were going to have to go into a conflict, I do trust this president more than I do the previous people who were all war hawks and just were itching for something to go to war over. President Trump is not in that situation. I did a town hall where I brought in, invited all of my grassroots supporters, which is, over 100 people, volunteers, well over 100 people onto a phone call, and talked about this topic. And really, I was surprised that most of the people in Southwest Missouri are of the opinion that, look, we didn't really have a choice. This country has been at war with us for 47 years. They've been the bad guy all along. They've been the one that's been pulling the strings, causing all of these conflicts, all of these problems that we've had all along. And if we're going to finally deal with it, they're glad that President Trump is the one that's going to do it, because he's going to be judicious about the way in which he spends money and goes into this effort.
What do you make of all of the Dr. Fauci drama? And I think right now I have major concerns heading into the midterms in just that we've got high gas prices. I think we're seeing races closer in some states than we thought we were going to. I think Americans are really concerned about affordability. As I know everyone's on a recess, but as we head back, what are you hoping Congress will focus on? Are we going to keep looking backward, or are we going to figure out our current problems?
That is a great point, and that's my frustration too. I'm extremely frustrated. We all can't stand Fauci. I mean, I think the guy should be in prison, if not worse. But that being said, we have real problems that we're facing today. We have the affordability issue. We've got, this war that's happening. We've got people that are having a hard time paying for essential things. When for example, my car insurance payments just went up. Mm-hmm. I never thought I would be paying $1,000 a month for my car insurance payments. This is insane. And I know that if I'm feeling it, I know probably almost everybody else is feeling it. And same thing with my homeowner's insurance. It's more than doubled. And when you're just having all of your discretionary income going to increased payments on insurance, and whether it's your car, your home, your life, your health insurance, it's just eating people alive, and there's just no money left at the end of the month. So these are the issues we need to be addressing, which is why I've sponsored the Great American Healthcare Plan. And that is a bill that will reform completely the healthcare system. Of all of the things that are eating into our discretionary income, health insurance premiums are the fastest growing. They've exceeded everything else. And so if you're going to stop this aggressive growth in inflation, you've got to address the big elephant in the room, which is health insurance and healthcare costs. And so this bill, I encourage your listeners to look it up on my website, the Great American Healthcare Plan, or what we're planning. I'm coming out with a video today. I'm working to be filming it today, explaining how we can pay for it by rolling back some of the stuff that was done in TARP that benefits the big corporate banks. So so it's a complicated measure, but we have a way in which to pay for this. And what it will do is it allow for us to be able to give tax breaks to the American people to put money into health savings accounts, give every American U.S. taxpayer a health savings account that they can put in dollars tax-free. Let every American pick their own insurance. Rather than your employer picks your insurance, you get to pick your insurance. You get to shop around. And when you start unleashing the free market capitalism and the American, which is what America is built on, and suddenly you're going to start seeing price transparency. You're going to start seeing your healthcare system cater to you. They're going to want to actually be on time. They're going to want to provide a positive experience. They're going to want to have competitive pricing. All of that will fall into place, and we will have a robust healthcare system with great quality, lower prices, and quicker response if we can just return the healthcare system back to the free market. And that's what the Great American Healthcare Plan will do.
True portability to where you're not tied to an employer. It actually would help, I think, raise the stock price and the ability of employees to have more, freedom of movement. And they, and I think that's good for their own pocketbooks too, right? They can decide to do what they want to do. Let's ask, you've heard about the $20 burrito problem, right? And, that was raised by actually a TPUSA member to Andrew Colvett. We've talked about that. Congressman, do many Republicans have a blind spot, a little tone deaf to the realities? And how should that messaging go? Do we need, if affordability is a problem, one side of the fence says we need more government involvement. What do you think the Republican side of the fence should be saying?
Yeah, that leftist side of the fence that we need more involvement. I remember that's what Jimmy Carter did. I mean, I wasn't old enough to know what he was doing at the time, but when Jimmy Carter, his response was to cap gasoline prices. Well, the end result was you had lines at the pump. You know, that's what the way that a socialist thinks. The truth is, we need to pull back all of the things that are causing the cost of goods to go up, whether it's the laws and the regulations that we have on the books. You know, I'll give you an example. Republicans, sadly, recently passed a bill, and this is a populist bill, right? It's popular for some Republicans to want to cater to unions. And so what did we do? Because J.D. Vance wanted to cater to the railroad unions, they pushed in a bill or an amendment to the transportation bill that says that every train has to have 2 employees, 2 union workers on every train. And the argument was that look at what happened at East Palestine where the train went off the rails. Well, guess what? That train had 3 workers on that particular train at the time. So this bill has nothing to do with actual safety and more to do with payouts for union workers, which is going to force railroad companies to spend more money on labor, which on all of the goods and services that they're trying to get to the shelves for you to buy. And we need to stop that kind of garbage. We need to stop all of the big government efforts, the crony government efforts that are causing the cost of things to go up. And that's what luckily you had 3 Missourians who had common sense in that vote. Myself, Sam Graves, Bob Onder, who fought against that and voted against that. But that's the kind of tone deafness that Republicans have is not understanding the real world impacts. The other thing that we can do that will lower the cost of everything, even the cost of a burrito that you're referencing, is not only that thing, because all of it has to be shipped in. All of it has essential labor and energy costs in getting to the shelves and to the stores. The other thing you can do is increase the weight capacity on semi trucks.
Okay.
And what they're carrying, because America, we have got one of the lowest weight thresholds, at least in North America. So you can go to Canada and you can load up about 20 to 30,000 pounds, 20 to 40,000 pounds more on a semi truck than you can in the United States.
Practical solutions. It's practical
right.
solutions, right? All right.
If every truck can ship like 50% more, that'll bring a lot of cost of goods down.
There you go. Congressman Eric Burleson, thanks for being with us. Look forward to the next conversation. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, there he is. John?
When life gives you lemons, make socialists.
Back with John in just a moment.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Except for this.
Republican Senator John Kennedy unleashed on former Vice President Kamala Harris, chiding the potential 2028 candidate for desperately cozying up to the Lululemon.
Vice President Harris. No disrespect, but Vice President Harris is no longer relevant. She had her shot and she missed. She can cozy up to the Lululemons all she wants to.
The snappy nickname for the Democratic Socialists of America comrades is a combination of the popular and pricey athletic apparel brand Lululemon and Russian revolutionary Vladimir Lenin, who, of course, founded the communist Soviet Union. One poster says, as much as I like my Lululemons, whoever wrote the Lululemon into Senator Kennedy's talking points deserves a Pulitzer. A self-claimed DSA member even conceded the moniker is catchy, declaring themselves a proud Lululemon. Kennedy's colorful new nickname, though, not the first time he's comically ripped into the socialists. He was on Fox News in July. The senator compared the list of countries that tried and failed with socialism being as long as King Kong's genitalia. Paraphrasing here, of course.
Oh, my.
Didn't
he tell, I thought he told during one interview, didn't he say, was it to Sean Hannity or someone, that he actually does, I think he and his staff sort of have a little library of these things that he can pull out before an interview. Am I wrong on that? I thought I heard him say that.
I'm sure he does.
If he is pulling these out of his hat spontaneously, oh my gosh.
There's nothing spontaneous on Capitol Hill.
He should go do some Second City if that's the case,
Yeah,
right?
no
I think it's a big business idea. Do we have a Senator Kennedy bobblehead yet where you could just push him and he just fire off one of his insults just on a rotating basis? I would buy that. I would buy that.
I think you're right. I think that's an opportunity there. Maybe come a little bottle of Cajun seasoning on the side, too.
There you go.
Do you think, Kamala Harris is clearly gearing up for another run. I think she in her mind, and I guess some people around her must be telling her that it was just the brevity of that campaign, 117 days? Wasn't that
seemed much longer?
That she just needed more time, just needs more time to make it happen, And I thought, wow, I don't know. I think she needs some better elocution and word
need
patterns.
To get some more radical talking points if she really wants to compete on what the Democrats have become.
True. I don't know. It's I'd love to see her run again. And among the other standouts, I was having a discussion the other day. There's a lot of choices out there. There's Newsom. There's maybe Pritzker, Governor Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. Oh, it'd be a lot of options. Oh, that it was Kamala again. Oh, how wonderful that would be.
AOC.
Yeah. Stephanie, we talked about AOC freezing her eggs.
Yeah.
I think I know why.
owns to beg for his endorsement.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
We will never allow foreign terrorist organizations to take advantage of our country.
The Zimmer News Team.
We'll compare key moments, see who he was texting.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
The Wall Street Journal reports it was Israeli intelligence that tipped off the Trump administration about a specific danger. The report explains the sourcing on this information, saying the U.S. officials said Israel briefed the Trump administration on the intelligence, which included a threat to use shoulder-to-air missiles to target Air Force One. Now, ultimately, the president was moved from Air Force One to another plane using a catering truck.
It's only up to Secret Service. I just follow what they'd like to do.
Boy, this whole thing that occurred when Trump was at the NATO meetings in Turkey, and now reporting reveals that they were going to use a ground-to-air shoulder-fired missile. Didn't they use those, Stephanie, John? Didn't they use those back early? I think Osama bin Laden and his people back early in the Iraq conflict were doing that a lot, right?
Biggest thing they're famous for is turning the tide in Afghanistan during the Russian invasion with the
right
shoulder-fired Stinger missiles taking down the helicopters and the Russian jets.
I don't know how high those things can be accurate. I mean, can
12,
they take
15,000 feet?
Yeah. So it's a frightening thing to think that Air Force One, Stephanie, you mentioned it earlier. I mean, here these reporters were on real Air Force One, which was a decoy, while Trump had been shuttled to cargo, makeshift Air Force One, to England, and then from England over here, they all were gathered. And that's where he held his little gaggle that we reported on, right?
Yeah, and they said, I mean, it's not uncommon for them to use distraction and other methods. I think in that instance, it was particularly. It must have been a particularly serious threat for them to do this. And I think some of the folks on the plane at least didn't know that they were on the decoy plane. But I mean, assuming you were getting on the plane, assuming you were going to be flying with the president. I think once you take that step, you were assuming that, like what he joked, last week, hey, if I go down, you're going down.
Yeah.
And in that case, it wouldn't have been that, right? Because he was on a different plane. But I think anytime you're within his vicinity, whatever threat is a threat to him is also a threat to you. And it's unfortunate that we've seen such serious threats lately, but
yeah. And he is certainly a firebrand. He is absolutely, in many ways, consequential. I don't know whether he is this.
No, not surprised. I have a lot of threats. I have a lot of threats that you don't know about. Any consequential president has a lot of threats. Non-consequential presidents don't get threatened. And I think that I'm maybe the most consequential president. There's nobody who's done more than me in a period of almost 6 years. There's nobody.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's true. And I think when there's extraordinary threats, the Secret Service should resort to extraordinary means to protect the president. That's their job. Irrespective of, we don't know what they're thinking ideologically, and to their credit, it doesn't matter, right? And to think that they had to go to those, and as Trey Yinks reported, this was Israeli intelligence. If they have that degree of granular intelligence that rises to a level of reliability that leads to that kind of a maneuver, why can't they tell us where the IRGC chief is? Why can't they tell us where the people making the decisions to keep pestering ships and firing on them in the strait and, attacking other neighboring Arab states? Why can't we take those people out? If the Israelis can get that kind of intelligence accuracy, why can't they provide us with more?
I don't know.
After the way we hit the previous folks, and they're you would think the current guys would be deep underground in bunkers and all, where it's not so easy to get at them.
There's that, and also there's if Israel calls you and says, hey, there's a 5% chance that there might be a bomb on your plane. We don't entirely know, but we heard rumors. You're evacuating the president. If there's a bomb threat, you evacuate the president. So maybe it's not as granular as hey, the bomb's on the left second engine on the wing.
Well, and all the bad guys, I mean, a lot of these actions have become public. So you're talking about where do we find the bad guys? Well, they can't carry a pager. They can't go to a meeting, or we'll get them all at once. I mean, I think they've kind of learned their lesson. And if they're smart, they're staying put and not
So you think
carrying any beepers.
they're just doing a better job of cloaking their whereabouts?
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, what we saw with a lot of these missions were they were very kind of long-term plays. Some of them were, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe we know, maybe we're on to them, but, some of these things take time.
Well, bringing it back to domestic news, I asked you ahead of the break did you know why? Well, I mean, can you speculate why? We talked about it. AOC, we played this earlier. Here it is. I can't find it. So she pinched her belly and shot it with an egg encouraging shot to produce lots of eggs, which will then be harvested. And she made a big, public deal out of it that she's going to freeze her eggs. And people speculated that at the same time, there's been a lot of talk about her running in 28, that, hey, she's probably deferring things, because how old is she? 36, I think. And so, she wants to make sure that the egg quality is good and doesn't deteriorate, which happens, as women age. And now the news, and I said, well, it's, the embryos have a lot better cryopreservability and longevity than eggs. And I wondered, why not just, because wasn't she engaged? Isn't she engaged? Yes. Not anymore, according to TMZ. Now I may have an explanation as to why she froze eggs rather than, go ahead and make an embryo and have embryos. She broke up from her
a while ago, too.
I didn't know that. Yeah, but I guess it's just coming out, huh?
Yeah. Folks are saying it was been a long time since they were photographed or seen together, but now they're saying maybe they actually split roughly 2 years ago.
Now, who is this cat? Riley Roberts? Is he a star? Is he a celebrity? Is he who is he?
I mean, no offense to that guy. I think she could do better.
Oh. Okay. I don't know. You're the best judge on that one, obviously. I don't know.
Wait, Randy, I thought your side gig was rating guys, on their looks. Is that not? Did I get
side gig? I speculate. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a hobby. Okay.
It's a hobby. But I did ask my wife yesterday. I said, "So, what is it about this Luigi Mangione that you've heard? I've heard women, online. You see it viral when the whole thing first came up when he was arrested. A lot of gals that really think he's a cutie pie and really, yeah."
Did you actually ask Helene that?
Yeah. Well, she's a woman. I'm not, and so I asked from a woman's perspective. I don't know what's attractive. I mean, of course, I shouldn't ask her opinion because look at who she chose. What a mistake.
Ain't that the truth? No, but you don't ask your significant other, hey, do you think this guy's hot? I feel like that's just a trap.
Well, why? No, it's not a trap. We're objective. We're transparent in our relationship. It's all good. Yeah. Beauty is beauty.
Good for you. Good for you.
Beauty.
I think you can ask maybe about celebrities. Maybe not about hey, do you think my brother or my best friend is hot? That would be awkward.
Okay,
but if you're asking about people that you don't know.
Right. I'm not going to a restaurant with her and saying, hey, look at that dude over there sitting across the table from that gal. What do you think of him? No, that's not. No. But if you're talking about celebrities, sometimes, So, well, anyway, AOC, I don't know, she's interesting, freezing her eggs and making a big deal about it. Interesting. To follow up on another story we talked about, this was interesting. Remember how you brought up that we had this story of the professor who sort of tricked his students, found plagiarism, right?
Right.
Because when they copied and pasted from, I don't know which bot it was, chat bot, AI tool, that he then, I guess, had somehow figured out, what did he do, embed something into the question, and when it was repeated?
Yeah, he had put it in white text so that if you just copied and pasted, it put a crazy word. What was the word? It was like a country name or something.
It's like Madagascar.
Yeah, Madagascar. Yeah. And so then he said not only was that obvious in that you copied and pasted, but then you wrote an essay that has nothing to do about Madagascar with the word Madagascar in it, and so you should have at least proofread it before you turned it in. So
generated some weird nonsensical sentences with the word Madagascar.
So Stephanie, you're finding that Claude is going to now help people discern whether what they're reading is maybe AI generated, right?
Yeah, this is a big deal was a big deal amongst the business and legal community yesterday on Twitter, in just that Anthropic is now saying they're going to follow the EU AI Act's transparency code, because obviously it's a worldwide company, and this took effect August 2nd, and what they said is essentially they're putting an invisible watermark into the words themselves. So if you copy and paste out of Anthropic, it will be detectable. And I think I also saw rumors, and again, this is kind of evolving yesterday, that they're also going to have some sort of tool that if you get something, you could use the tool to decide if it was used in Claude. Now, I think that's, I don't know. I struggle with this because what if so you can do two things. You can put something in Claude and say, write this for me, right? Write this essay for me. Okay. A teacher might have a problem with that, right? If you write something yourself, I think Claude is really good about, and you throw in something you wrote and you say, check this for typos. It might say you have a verb tense thing here, you have a period missing here, you should have a comma here. And some of we have spell checker, and grammar checker in Word. That's already using AI to do kind of the same thing. So what if you take a product you wrote yourself, you put it in Claude to clean up minor things?
To be an editor.
It's still your work, but now you've got the Claude watermark on it. And so then whoever's detecting it doesn't know if you were the original source of the writing or, and I think we had this, it's really tough, but apparently the EU is now saying this is important. Other people are saying that I saw some chatter how some of the other models have already been doing this. People just were unaware of it. So I don't know. If you're using Claude, it's a heads up that you need to do your research on this new change to Claude.
And probably assume that it's better to be transparent that you did something with the aid of AI, right? If you're then putting it out there as something that you are, promoting, right? Or that you made. Yeah? Good policy?
I mean, again, we've been using AI and Microsoft Word forever on grammar check and spell check. And do you say, by the way, I use spell check? I don't know. It's evolving, I will say.
What do you think? 573-874-9390, 800-529-5572. Your thoughts on that? Back with the Morning Bell and some new inflation news in a moment.
It's Wake Up Miss
Time for the morning bell.
Market watchers are skeptical that we're actually going to get a deal in Iran. We saw losses yesterday. The Dow down 0.34%. The S&P similarly down 0.32%. NASDAQ down more than that at 0.60%. As we look at the sectors, we had communication services down more than 2%, while utilities was up over 1%. Now, we have some new economic data out today. The CPI is in, and it's good news. Folks are saying good news, Randy, but just by 0.1%. Consumer prices rose at 3.4% over the past year in July, cooling from 3.5% in June, coming in slightly better than the 3.5% economists expected. So are we starting to celebrate the 0.1%?
Well, we'll take what we can get in this environment, right? But that's on top of the 9.5%, right? You still have 3-4% every year.
Core inflation does look good. When you strip out food and energy, prices rose 0.2% for the first month, or for the month, and 2.5% over the year. That's down from 2.6 annually. So overall, I think people were we're waiting for this report because we had a bad jobs report, and people are like, oh, what are we going to do in the midterms? Overall, not bad. So
probably doesn't hurt, right?
Here's something bad for you. I'm mad about this. We are playing too nice with our youth. And Michigan is the first school. I'm afraid the dominoes are going to start to fall. But beginning in fall 2027, they've decided that it might be mean to give people letter grades and tell them they don't get a gold star. So they are eliminating letter grades for their first year students, saying that freshmen can adjust to college and take risks without one lousy semester following them around. And I'm just thinking, I love this. We have these conversations at work, right? Like, how do you do performance reviews? How often? Well, like, what if you make someone mad? How do you handle and, how does the employee handle the pressure of knowing that they're coming up on a performance review? But at some point, like, you have to get a grade. And I think whether or not you're getting a grade at school, we do it all day long. Like, customers at businesses are giving us a grade by deciding whether or not they want to buy our products. Your boss, when he decides whether you get a raise or a promotion, you're ultimately getting graded. The market gives businesses a grade every single day on how they're doing. And I think teaching kids from an early age that everyone gets a participation trophy is the wrong message. Would you want to hire someone who could pass or fail without consequence? I don't think we're setting these kids up for success.
It's more of the generation that has expectations of success without really having that nominal accountability, and I don't know.
And sure, there are people who their feelings are hurt or they have extra anxiety because they didn't do as well as they wanted to do. I'm a perfectionist. If I don't get an A, I am stressed about it. But at the same time, I think for a lot of people, it's motivating when you hear, hey, you're not doing the best. You could do better. I think that motivates a lot of people to do better. Mm-hmm. And so do you want someone who is allowed to fail without consequences, or someone who has gotten that C and thought, oh my gosh, like, I need to work harder, and learned how to recover from a minor setback, right? You don't want their workplace to be the first place they've experienced a setback and have to bounce back. We need some resiliency.
573-874-9390. To grade or not to grade, that's the question. Text us with your answers on that. We'll be back with more. And some fun on maybe the diet that we should be eating. Maybe not.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people always know what's going on.
meat
No,
and
this is a
fermented
crazy
vegetables?
diet. This is a diet that consists of eating sauerkraut and meat. Now, you understand, like, this is not a sustainable thing. Like, you can't just walk into,
Well, he sustains it because he does it.
Can you imagine? He has to travel with coolers of sauerkraut. I'm not going to travel the world with a cooler full of sauerkraut. It's ridiculous. I can't do it. It's not sustainable.
Are you Maha?
I'm in favor of Maha. Like,
Drake,
I think
get
people should
ready.
be healthy.
He is not.
But I think ultimately, at
He
the
is
end,
completely not.
What's he eat?
Pop-Tarts.
no, I don't eat Pop-Tarts every day.
Okay, you eat sweets.
The Pop-Tart is one of the great American innovations in history of the world. If you think about it, it comes in this
He
beautiful
eats
foil
all the
package.
things you should not be eating. Every single thing.
Drake also
That is my hero.
loves
That is my hero.
Pop-Tarts. He is going online right now and buying a Rubio for President hat.
Nope.
Pop-Tarts are a great
Rubio for president,
American-
100%. He got my endorsement.
a great American innovation. They come in a beautiful foil wrap.
Marco Rubio on the Katie Miller podcast with his wife.
Relatable.
You can eat them raw. You can eat them cold. You can put them in the toaster. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it. If you're wanting to put more protein and calories, put peanut butter in between the two of them, make a little sandwich. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
You could use it for the bun for your bratwurst with the sauerkraut.
And you can produce one heck of a halftime show.
Exactly. He's got my heart and my vote.
Isn't that great?
And she totally tattles. That's so funny. Like, what does he eat? Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, really spilling the beans
I
there.
love that. You can tell they have a really fun relationship.
That's great.
And she holds him accountable. I like it.
We haven't seen much of her, you know? I mean, of course, he's not vice president. He's not. But even as a senator, we didn't really see. Well, you don't
I
see
hope we
much.
see more of her. This this whole conversation, every clip I've seen has been hilarious.
Yes, she's good. And Katie Miller, didn't she just have a baby? Or is she pregnant? But she's Stephen Miller's wife, a popular podcast, right? And I know, wasn't there, the talk was about her and,
Caroline Levitt and Usha Vance.
And Usha Vance being pregnant at various points and how they're politicizing pregnancy.
Ooh,
oh,
I
my
like
gosh.
this. They welcomed their fourth child named Hawthorne on June 3rd, 2026.
There you go. And she's back in the podcast world. So there you go. Hey, there's another thing you might want to look out for. I have not heard about this being in Missouri. We've heard about scams. Certainly throughout time, scams have happened with swindlers. But this one is an interesting one, the jury duty scam, Stephanie.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal wrote about this. There was a 38-year-old woman in Tampa. They said she's a finance manager, and she gets a phone call from someone claiming to be a sheriff's deputy and said she had missed federal jury duty and there was a warrant for her arrest. Now, here's where the story gets kind of weird. Apparently, they kept her on the phone for nearly 10 hours. She was supposed to post, quote, bail, and they sent her, so she ends up sending money through cryptocurrency kiosks and ends up losing $25,000.
Yeah.
I would rather get arrested than spend 10 hours on the phone with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if you call me and you say, I'm from something and I don't recognize it, I hang up. Like, you can leave me a voicemail, and most of the time I don't answer anyway, but when was the last time you spent 10 hours on the phone with anybody? I'd be like, okay, if you're going to arrest me, I'll see you on the porch and then we can have an in-person conversation, I guess. I don't know. It seems at some point she should have kind of known. And apparently her husband eventually did call 911 after he consulted ChatGPT about whether or not this was a scam. But it seems like 10 hours is a long time to get to that conclusion.
Kidding. I remember seeing it was a podcast or who was it? But there was some individual, I think it was a media person, who actually got caught up in one of these things because it sounded so credible. It's like, hey, your son-in-law has been kidnapped or something. It was one of these scams with a phone thing. And they almost ended up putting a lot of ransom money into a crypto account or something. I thought,
well, and I think the important thing is most of these people will never call you, and that's what they're saying is law enforcement. If you miss your jury duty, you're not getting a phone call from the sheriff's deputy, most likely, right? Mm-hmm. And so the best thing, whether it's from and a lot of people get duped because they're like, I'm your bank, mm-hmm. I'm this person, mm-hmm. and then you don't have any way of independently verifying that. And these people call from random numbers. So the best thing you can do is if you get their information, ask them what their name is, where they're they're from, hang up the phone,
Right.
find the number for your bank, find the number for your local sheriff's office, call them and say, hey, I was just contacted by this person. They said they're with you. And that should clarify whether it's actually your bank, whether it's actually your sheriff's office. And, if they're really going to, if you were to hang up on that person and they were really trying to get you, you think they're not going to call you back? I mean, I think that's the best thing you can do.
I've gone to being probably paranoid about the whole thing. If I get a mailing or an email that I've looked at the domain, it looks and sometimes it is, or if it's a mailing especially.
It's gotten really...
I call them now.
Yeah,
I just call them.
It's gotten really scary. I mean, anyone who runs a business, the problem is all of your Secretary of State paperwork is public. If you have any sort of licensure, that's public.
Yeah.
And more, I'm getting what looks to be like official government mail. They'll have some weird sort of seal on there, some official looking name, and it'll be like, you've missed your reporting requirement, or you need to redo your Secretary of State certification. And like, it's, what is it, $10 or $15 if you do it online yourself. And these people, they'll say, we'll do it for you for $150. So I think they do it for you, but like you're scammed out of your $120 or whatever.
The one I've gotten repeatedly is the one that says, hey, you owe us $75 for your annual fee for us to provide service in case your electric goes out from the pole to your house.
Oh, wow.
You ever gotten that one?
No.
I haven't gotten that one.
Yeah, that's kind of, we've gotten it about, I don't know, every year or so. And it's like, you don't need them to do that.
I've actually been victim to a scam lately.
Really?
Yeah. So ever since I moved into my new place, I would get a call from someone claiming to be a landlord asking for like $1,000 like every month. It's ridiculous. I mean,
holy cow.
Yeah.
How did they know? You're just newly in that apartment too.
Yeah, I know. How do they know?
How did they figure that out? And wow. So
your face, Randy, it was a joke. Okay.
You know what's happening? What I've been getting. Do you get, for those of you who may have a business domain on the internet?
I get the web
I get
ones.
the fake things like, hey, your renewal is coming up. But that's not who I'm registered through.
And it's scary because and I don't know.
You don't want it to expire.
Well, yeah, if your business website goes down, that's really bad. Yeah. And I think also, I don't know if you actually respond to those, if then they steal your domain or if they actually renew it for you. But if you give them the credentialing, and most of those domain services these days are on auto renewal, right? Yeah. And so your credit, they've got your credit card and you just get charged annually or monthly or whatever. So it's weird that they're mailing you anything, but it looks really scary and it's like in all bold and it's like, your website's going to go down. And you're like, wait, I thought I paid that. Hold on. So keeping really good records and verifying who's sending you the mail or making the call to you is the actual person is important.
The other one we've gotten is mortgage insurance. Your mortgage, and we don't have that, but it's like your mortgage insurance may expire, and then you'll be out in your escrow account will be all screwed. Whatever.
And the phone calls about your extended car warranty.
Oh yeah, extended car warranties. Yeah,
Watch out for those.
Yeah. Let's talk to Joe. Hey Joe, how you doing? Welcome into Wake Up Missouri.
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Super good.
Hey, just my thoughts on the whole college non-grading thing is follow the money. Let's say you're the university, you have 10,000 new freshmen coming in, and you know that every year you lose 20% of those. Pareto's principle. How much do those students pay every year? Approximately what, 50 grand a piece? Times 2,000?
Okay.
So you got how much money are they losing? Where if they can keep them another year. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
They don't care about whether those students graduate or not.
All right. Well, it does seem to me, and our kids, what's the latest one that graduated? What was it, 10, 12 years ago? How long ago? Thanks very much for the call.
That's a good point. I mean, it is, if you're not kicking anybody out, then they're coming back the second year and maybe they're, not prepared but you're still cashing the checks. And I know, like, at my institution, if you got really bad grades the first year, you went on probation. And if you couldn't bring your grades up, you either, like, lost your scholarships or they talk about, what was next for you. I think in the other instance, sometimes we're so focused on grades that we're focused on getting good grades and not actually learning. And or getting the right MAP score and not actually learning. So I think this could be inverted as well. And I think I remember one of my first, I was an intern, so technically I was still in school. And I went and, they gave me my first assignment. I was very excited and I went and I did it. And I wrote up this, report and I was like, yes. And I take it to my immediate supervisor who, and he just looks at me and he goes, I was like standing there eagerly and he's like, do you want a gold star? And I did want a gold. I wanted an AA. Like I wanted him to say, wow, this is so good. And it was a good lesson for me that like, you don't get gold stars for showing up and doing the work that you're charged with doing. And so I think, constantly giving kids A's or like rewarding them also incentivizes this behavior that like you have to be rewarded for, you are being rewarded, you're being paid. So you don't, and I think we talk about that, the tipping culture now, right? Like if someone hands you your food over your counter, you're paying for the food. Like, do I need to tip? If someone, so I think it's a weird thing to expect to be like rewarded when you're already being paid. I think there are definitely people who deserve it, right? Who go above and beyond. And I think, I think those of us who interact with people in the hospitality industry are used to that, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get really good service. You want to reward those people. But I think teaching students too, that just for showing up and doing the work, you're going to get a gold star. Yeah. It was a hard lesson for me as like a 22-year-old because I wanted that gold star.
Randy, remember back in the day when they flipped for a while from ABC to the ESMIF?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Briefly in some places. Was it Universal? I think
they did it, in Jefferson City. It was one of those deals where I think it just, it just confused people.
Well, we flipped at Southern Boone too. They were no longer doing A, B, C, D, E, or F. There's no E. But they flipped to 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And so we did that for, 4 years. And all the parents are like, I don't understand this. And they're like, well, a 4 is going above and beyond. And a 3 is like, you're meeting all the criteria. But then those of us,
GPA almost.
Yeah. Those of us growing up though, we were like, they're like a 3 is good. And you're like, but to me, a 3 is a B and not good. So anyway, we flipped back, I guess, this year because it was too confusing. So I don't know.
I like the old system where there were grades, letter grades, and there were effort grades. I think it was nice for teachers to say, you got a B, but you put in an effort of 2. And if you put in an effort of 1, I think you'll make an A.
And we get a report on the kids too as far as behavior and expectations. And I'm like, look, I'm glad you got an A, but if you get a notch down that you weren't being respectful or your behavior's bad, it's going to be worse for you. Like those things really matter. So I like getting a check-in from the teachers that the kids are meeting their behavioral and respect expectations.
All right.
That I appreciate.
Grades. One way or another, how do we judge people's merit when you're looking to hire them? That's really the ultimate question. Or maybe to have them go further in school. Back with leftovers in a minute.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we had a hard time. I asked Drake during the break if he could come up with some of the best of Tupac Shakur.
John is our rap battle expert.
And then I forgot that actually John is the expert on that. And John, maybe you could suggest a Tupac Shakur song that we could maybe regale people with, because
keep it clean, John.
Well, that's
apparently
where I was going. It kind of leaves it out.
I know
there.
we can't do that. A man who was accused of orchestrating the killing of rapper Tupac Shakur 30 years ago, almost, will be having a trial, and jury selection will begin this week.
I thought Diddy was already in jail.
Oh,
Drake. Well, it's interesting because prosecutors don't accuse Dwayne Davis of actually pulling the trigger. The theory is he's organized and supplied the gun for the drive-by shooting. The problem for Davis is that apparently he made lots of, and this was like Tupac and Suge Knight, and there was like an altercation at the casino, and then this drive-by shooting. Apparently Davis has talked extensively about the killing. He discussed it not only in police interviews, but also media appearances, and he wrote a memoir. And the defense...
Okay, this is the guy who wrote the book.
Yes, and the defense is saying, this is funny, the defense is saying that those statements aren't credible because he exaggerated his role to make money and sell more books. But the prosecution is saying, look, this guy talked about being the mastermind behind the killing, and now he's apparently going to trial. He has pled not guilty, but he faces life in prison without parole if he is convicted.
This is wild. So he was arrested in 23, and he wrote the memoir in 2019, and I guess made some public statements as well, probably promoting the memoir. Yeah, so he was in a BMW in 96 with Suge Knight. A white Cadillac pulled up at a red light. Shakur was in the passenger seat, was shot multiple times, died 6 days later. Knight survived. I remember that was a big deal, huge deal. That's when that whole era of rap really, gave it such a dark and sinister edge, you know?
Oh, and Tupac was right there with the big, big song, like what was it? "Hit 'Em Up" was a big diss one, and a lot of those. So
that's why
was the real gangster rap back in the day.
Yeah, that drove me to listening to Will Smith rap.
Nah, I'm telling you, Randy.
Well, he did a rap thing, didn't he? It was clean rap. It wasn't gangster foul
He made
mouth.
a lot of money off of it.
Well, it wasn't
too.
foul mouth rap. It was okay. I could hear it. I could listen to it.
What, are you not allowed to listen? Does Helene not let you listen to like gangsta rap?
We don't do rap.
Boo.
Once in a while, when the kids are over, they've got some rap thing playing. I'm like, whatever.
Not even the Beasties?
Oh.
I'll tell you what, Randy, I will take you in a ride in my beat-up Corolla with blacked-out windows, and we will listen to some Kanye. I'll show you what rap is all about.
No, I can listen to it. It's fine. It's got a beat. It's got a rhythm. I admire anyone that can speak prose that rapidly. Is that what rap stands for? Rapidly? Rapidly? Is that what it stands for?
I don't know.
I've never heard poetry spoken so rapidly. Well, we'll speak rapidly or not to you tomorrow when we see you on Wake Up Missouri.
Cue
Thanks
up
for being
Gold
here.
Digger, Drake.
Bye.